Good afternoon, friends. Today is our last analysis, that is feces analysis. After this video, we will talk about ECG and the questions about the inspection and inquiry. So today we will going to talk about feces analysis and then ECG and then questions about inquiry and inspection. I want to remind you that we have finished already all the analysis. This is our last analysis. This is the very easiest analysis. That's why I put it on the last. So let's see without wasting our time. First of all, how we can differentiate based on the shape that which pathology is there. So if we can see the shape of the faces are fluid. So we are talking about diarrhea. That's not a new thing. Everybody knows that if our stools are fluid like watery like, then we are talking about diarrhea. But if we see small nuts, then we are talking about constipation. So if on the analysis you see these two things, you can easily differentiate between constipation and diarrhea. But there may be some other shape, maybe their cylindrical and sausage shape. Cylindrical and sausage shapes are the normal shape of the faces. Then next information I want to give you about tribal test. If tribal test on the analysis is present, it indicate about inflammation and it indicate about inflammation, but we need also differentiate that whether it is a small intestine inflammation or large intestine inflammation, means it is enteritis or it is colitis. I will tell you in detail how we can differentiate enteritis and colitis. So if on the analysis you can see the presence of leukocyte with the presence of tribal test, then we are talking about inflammation. But if you see the presence of melena, if you see the presence of melena means black color feces, then we are talking about small intestine inflammation. Then our disease is enteritis. And if we see the presence of the erythrocytes, red blood cells, in the feces, then we are talking about large intestine inflammation, that is colitis. I will give you the scheme of tribal test, this inflammation, differentiation, colitis, and enteritis in detail now. But before that, I want to talk with you about pancreatic insufficiency. That when we can say that person is suffering from pancreatic insufficiency, when on the analysis we can see the presence of fat, we can see the presence of starch, we can see the presence of the muscle fiber, then we are talking about pancreatic insufficiency because our pancreas is not able to produce enough enzyme to digest or ferment fat, starch and muscle fibers. And this condition are known as steatorrhea, amyluria, and trituria. Means on the analysis, when you will explain to the examiner, you will say we can see the presence of fat, starch, and muscle fiber. Means we can see steatorrhea, amyluria, and trituria. These are the indication for pancreatic insufficiency. These are the indication for pancreatic insufficiency. Now, I told you already, inflammation from which part? It is from the upper part of bowel or it is from the lower part of the bowel. If it is from the upper part of bowel, means from the small intestine, then we can see black feces, melena. Then we are talking about enteritis. We know inflammation ends with itis. So our disease is enteritis. And if we see the presence of the RBC or fresh blood, so we are talking about large intestine large intestine inflammation. So our disease here is colitis. So that's all information I want to give you about feces analysis. So we don't have so much time that we can cover all the questions regarding this, but this is very easy analysis. You can watch the video and then go for the question practice at your own. But I want to give you a sample of card, that how you will get a card on the exam. So this will be your card on the exam, such like that. So we can see here the consistency is fluid, so means patient is suffering from diarrhea. Shape not made out. Of course, if it is fluid, how will be shape? How will be sausage? How will be cylindrical? How will be nuts? No, not at all. If it is fluid, do you think water has any shape? No. Color is yellow. It is also normal. Mucus not present. Norm. pH alkaline. Leukocyte absent. Stercobilin present. I want to remind you. Sometimes on feces analysis, stercobilin will be absent, and if stercobilin will be absent, then we are talking about problem with the cystic duct and gallbladder. So you can say if stercobilin is absent, then the problem is with the cystic duct and gallbladder. Erythrocyte absent, Kirghizian test negative, but we can see the presence of the neutral fat. We can see the presence of fatty acid. We can see the presence of muscle fiber. We can, what is it? It is the condition for the steatorrhea, amyloria, and critoria. So this all indicate about pancreatic insufficiency. Pancreatic insufficiency. The patient is suffering from diarrhea with pancreatic insufficiency. So that's all information I want to give you today. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Have a good health.